Turtle Power Part 3. I hate the gore. I know the Ninja Turtles were this violent in the first comic they appeared in, but still, I don't immediately know what these ninjas did to deserve this. It doesn't really establish them as good guys at all. Because they're doing this instead of, can't they just smack them in the heads and knock them out? And there's magically no blood on the weapons afterwards. Finally, the Ninja Turtles show up. I guess they only took so long to show up because the writer wanted to be contrary. But it's really not a good idea because they're the only recognizable characters to most people. And Krang and his goons are really ugly and unappealing with no personality. Not something that tempts you to give the comic a chance. So they needed to be the ones saving the rogues. At least there is precedent for a crossover between this and Sonic because the Turtles showed up in one issue of Archie Sonic and even had dialogue. Though I guess I won't reference that. And they're animal people. I'm glad there are name tags for all of them, but boy it's gonna be hard to memorize their names. Raphael asked what the Foot Clan's doing back after they defeated Shredder. I thought they used to work for Krang. They had also sent the Technodrome back to Dimension X. It does make more sense that Krang looks so weird if he's an alien from another dimension. The ninja refuses to tell them anything, and they get threatened by Rouge's sister. The ninja makes it obvious that he's not just gonna stay here after they leave. And yet Raphael's stupid anyways and doubles down on his grisly, dark and edgy threat to him. Then it cuts to a human character I don't know called Casey Jones, a vigilante, who says the streets are clean with the Purple Dragons out of business. He's scared at seeing Christina, and his red headband reminds me of Ryu when he takes the skull mask off. Then Christina asks for help from Michelangelo because she can't control herself. And yet she can talk? The mouth is part of the body. He's scared because she's dangling him really high above the city. And he says there's not a doctor in sight. I guess that was his attempt at a joke, because obviously if she let him go, no doctor could save him. I guess he's my favorite. I had my doubts at first because I already get jokes and snarks from Sonic. But he's trying to make up for how dark and grisly the Turtles are by lightening the mood constantly. And I guess that can make sense, because that's how he copes with it all. So it's not necessarily forced. It still feels obligatory. I still feel like he's just written to joke around because they needed a comedy relief character. Because its weight's too much for her, she loses altitude. A surprising bit of realism. And amusingly he says, "This was your plan, guys?" As all of his brothers end up dangling under him too. But they explain that this way, she'll have to land. Casey snarks that every day is a mutant parade with these guys. So it's satisfying that Raphael tells him to shut his yap, even if he does seem to be the least likable one. He tells him to help them tie her up. Mikey's asked if he's okay. Good, I have an excuse to never call Michelangelo again. He's not anything like that guy. They're relieved that there was a roof right below her. And somehow Mikey figures out that she's in pain. She says Krang did this to her, so they plan revenge. Raphael asks what they do with her, and his brother says, the only thing we can do. And since they casually murdered some people in cold blood earlier, I don't trust the writer not to casually kill this character off before she could make full use of Rouge having a sister. And it would really make me wonder why I'm supposed to see these guys as admirable. I can understand assuming that she wants to be put out of her misery, but couldn't they just keep her tied up until they find a cure? It's nice of their father figure to call them my sons. It's amusing that he goes from calm to saying about her, "This is where I draw the line." But he raised weird looking people before. They look better than her, but still, she's restrained, not dangerous. They didn't have anywhere else to bring her, of course. And he says he should see what they can do. Even if this place isn't a hospital for injured mutants. It makes their father figure look good that he's the one telling them to help people. If that's been said in front of Casey, there'd be no excuse for him not knowing they're good guys. He doesn't talk to them like he knows they're good guys. It seems like Mikey's the only one who says dude among them so far, which makes him stick out. He really wants his own identity. Wait, how did he even learn the word dude in Life in the Sewers, where tons of horrible diseases exist? And we have to assume that immunity to them and inability to carry them is part of being mutants. But Casey isn't so lucky. Donatello wonders if Christina's an alien, and all of a sudden their father gets a vision of Krang looking at an emerald, and tells the Turtles to get to Dimension X. It's interesting that he's a psychic. I didn't expect that. but it does make a lot of sense because he's the old guy mentor. And that's like Sarsaparilla from A Link to the Past, who can send telepathic messages to Link like a psychic. I guess its random psychic power was necessary so that they have a convenient person to warn them and tell them where to go next. It's amusing that all he can say in response is a confused okay. There is basically no plot in this part worth talking about much. So, on to part 4. Finally, we see the Sonic characters again. And this is the part of the story that probably caught my eye in thumbnails on DeviantArt. Knuckles tells Sonic that his island's just powered by the Master's Rumble now, and Rouge is surprised that Sonic's here. Me too. Seriously, why couldn't Knuckles have just called Sonic over his video chat screen to tell him this? Like in issue 101. It's actually out of character for Sonic to go visit him. Rouge wants to make them tell her what she wants to know, as they still have strong memories of her past in SSC Online. But here she's just working for Gun. Meanwhile, Tails asks Sonic to get sticks off him when all she's doing is holding his second tail. She assumes he's an alien because of it. But I don't get why she jumped to the conclusion that there's goblins. Oh right, it's reference to the Nameless Zone. But her getting that right would only make sense if she's been there before. And she has no memory of her life before Robotnik fried her mind. Knuckles never told her about the Nameless Zone. But I do love it when she accidentally gets stuff right. I wish Knuckles would have a thought bubble thinking, huh, she got something right, since he went to the Nameless Zone with Tails. I wish she'd apologize and that he'd have more of a reaction to her guessing the truth than this. Porker's still recovering in the hospital because of chaos. So somehow, Sonic really did decide to visit Knuckles when they never really got along. He would have just been video chatting with him again. Rouge threatens them because she wants them to tell her something. Predictably, she wants to know where her sister and father are. Oh, she still cares about her father after he revealed himself to be evil. She's had quite some time to think about things and turn against them. I guess it's realistic that she didn't get over that after joining Gun, after all those time she spent with her father. She asks him what he did with her family. Then a rumble diverts their attention, and a purple portal shows up near them. It's surprising that Rouge took so long to question them about where her family is. I guess she was really busy. Her time's wasted with a villain scene where nothing happens. Good thing Krang's nice enough to let Rock and Beebs live when he's pure evil. Surprisingly, he wants to drag Angel Island into his dimension for no reason. I thought he'd just get the emerald from it, or try to. His goal is generic, and his goons go to fight Sonic, who thought it'd be the Dracons attacking. It's amusing that he made a bet with Tails and he owes him a tenner. Rouge says Knuckles had better tell her what she wants to, since she's doing him a favor. I love that. That's so her. It's also amusing that he just tells her to get off the island too. Six says that one of her guesses was rock creatures. She says her people are badass, but somehow thinks throwing a mirror boomerang at rock monsters is a good idea. It did look cool that the boomerang was covered in fire all of a sudden though. As if she got fire powers from Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. I guess she just discovered she could do this. You would think she'd be able to add fire to anything she throws then. A rock monster is upset at his buddy being attacked, since he was 2 days from retirement. Come to think of it, that's a forced joke, because Krang wouldn't let any of his goons retire. Sonic says seriously, and I guess it's from guilt over murdering someone. Krang admits that the Freedom Fighters are skilled, and wants the lizard deployed. So a tube gets sent to Sonic, and him assuming its vector is at least somewhat justified, because 1, it's foggy, so he can't see as well, and 2, Eggman can invent anything. So he might have been suspecting that Vector got turned into his Cyberneck to justify looking weird. He might have assumed Krang turned him into that. Just because he doesn't look entirely like Vector doesn't mean he isn't him. In part 5, Krang sent his goons to attack Angel Island, and Sonic happened to be there instead of on the other end of his screen video chatting with Knuckles. And because he decided to visit Knuckles, he was able to help defend Angel Island. It's just weird that Krang went through all the trouble of trying to get Angel Island to his dimension. I guess it is smarter of him since Rock and Beebs would have told him that the island was being guarded. So he couldn't just go up to the Emerald and steal it. Once again, there wasn't much to say.